Hey everyone, it's Julie. I am on here again sharing with you another palette that I just totally jumped in and enjoyed doing the alcohol inks on. This one was a little bit scary to me because it is the Black Pro palette, which I've had for a very long time, and it was so beat up. It was just a shame that it was such a nice palette. It has actually 3 layers of room for your compacts and stuff, but it just didn't look attractive when I would pull it out of my bag. So I said, you know, why not? Let's try doing the alcohol inks on the lid of this. So it's very beautiful. The more and more I do this, I get more confident. This is my second palette. Now this one took a lot of work, and looking at it, I still could, you know, tighten it up a little bit. Like I could take a little bit of a gold marker and just kind of really skim along the edge here and really make it crisp and sharp. I definitely need to clean up the smudges. I could do the back of the palette. You can see there's smudges and there's a little bit of residual ink on this side, so I might end up doing that, but I just did this yesterday and it looks really nice. It looks beautiful. This is just layer upon layer of alcohol ink and some of the gold alloy alcohol ink that Ranger sells, and then you can see that there are some splatters of the dark green and the pearl throughout, so it kind of looks like a galaxy. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. Now the black palettes are a little bit more of a learning curve because of the black paper that this palette is wrapped in. Some of the inks don't show up. So I found that when I was doing the alcohol inks, if I use the mix-ins, which Ranger has a line of alcohol inks called mix-ins, they are specifically designed to be mixed in with the normal colors. You can get some of these lighter pearlescent high contrast areas against the black palette. That's what you really need. So you'll see in the video where I'd kind of gone overboard with the gold, so I went back and did more layers of the darker inks, and then I finished up with mixing the white pearl mix-in with some of the blue and purples that I used, and I think it's great. Now to give it the shine, I just sprayed on some of the Krylon triple thick clear coat, but in order to get these colors to last, you want to have 2 other sprays. You want to have the Krylon Kamar spray, which is going to set the inks. You want to do several coats of that, and then I did the UV resist spray by Krylon, the gloss formula, and I sprayed that on so that the colors don't fade. And then finally you want to choose your acrylic top coat. Now, the sprays that I've been using, they leave kind of a texture, which it doesn't bother me. You can kind of see this little mottled texture here. I am going to make my next project to be either jumping in and doing an epoxy ink, or I want to do a pour over. Did I say epoxy ink? Excuse me. I want to do an epoxy resin, or I want to do the pour over. I think Deco makes a pour over type resin type deal. So I'm going to try those and continue to let you know. Without further ado, I'm going to show you how you can create something similar on some of your old or beat up palettes that you'd like to renew. So I would recommend practicing on black cardstock, which you can get in the alcohol ink aisle. Definitely try out some color combinations and practice moving the inks across the paper before starting on the black. Now I do have another video where I show you how to do this process on a white palette, which I found to be a lot easier. But this is my Black Pro palette from Seint. It has 3 tiers, and it's just an older palette that I want to renew. So I have a few products that I'm going to pull out and get ready to use on this palette. Any oil or fingerprints I just kind of removed with some soapy water and a washcloth, and then allowed it to dry. So I have my materials out: isopropyl alcohol, 91%. is really great for diluting and moving the inks across the surface if you want a lighter wash of color. And this is the alcohol ink. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's called the blending solution. And I usually start by applying this all over my surface. It gets the surface really slick, and then you can start applying your alcohol inks into the puddle of the blending solution. And then you can use your hair dryer or your blower tool to move the ink. Now I'm going to start off with an alloy, which is a gold leaf effect. And it's basically like liquid gold leaf. And I am going to use my blower, which I also got from the Ranger ink line. I bought all my materials at the local craft store. So anywhere like Michael's, Hobby Lobby, those kinds of places will have these items. So you're just going to do little blasts of air. And I'm just adding a little bit more blending solution to help move it and get the striations and the movement that I want. Here you see I was playing around with some circular patterns, but there's just a lot of going back and forth, trying different things until you find something that you like. So my original thought was to do black and gold, and then I added some white, pearl. Now I'm adding purple. So you're just going to kind of see how this evolves. With art, especially processed art, you know, the kind of art that we do just for the fun of it, just the therapeutic quality of doing art, you're going to change your mind a lot. You're going to want to revise and renew something, or refresh something, or redo something. This is why I like this process a lot. Here I'm adding a dark teal color and some more blending solution. So the blending solution really helps move the ink across the surface, but without diluting it. The ink stays pretty colorful. If you want to dilute it and have more of a wash of color and thin it out, then you will want to use the alcohol. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, you will definitely want to protect the inside of your palette. So make sure that you place either a thick piece of paper between the lid and the rest of your palette, or use painter's tape along the edges. So it was getting kind of dark in my house, so I decided to take my project outdoors. I do have a thick watercolor paper underneath the lid, just to keep the inks from going into the inside of my palette. So the watercolor paper really helps absorb the products. You can see here that at this point I have done some splattering, and my camera turned off. So I didn't capture the technique of me splattering, but basically I just took the dark teal and created these polka dot splatters all over the surface. And we start to get like this galaxy effect. I also used the white pearl as well. And I'm going to take this alloy in gilded and go around the edge to create the gold rim. You can't really see it here, but I'll show you at the end what it looks like. Here I had used parchment paper underneath the lid to prepare for spraying the sealant on, and I do not recommend using this method. I would just stick with painter's tape and maybe even a piece of regular paper underneath. The parchment paper stuck to the inside of my palette because some of the sealant got underneath there, so I would highly recommend using painter's tape and regular paper. So once your product is dry, you'll want to use this Kmart varnish by Krylon, about 3 coats, and that's going to set the ink and keep it from moving. Then a coat of UV resistant clear, which is in the middle, and then you're going to top it off with this clear glaze. It's a triple thick clear glaze, and it just really gives your palette this epoxy-like shine. So I'm going to leave the details on what I used in the description, and I hope that you will consider using some of your Seint palettes that are maybe more plain or old, and you'll use these techniques to create some really fun, creative ideas. All right, again, my name is Julie. Thank you for watching.